Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Legends of Tomorrow Season 4, and this is going to be my review for Episode 8, otherwise known as the mid-season finale for this season, which is otherwise entitled, pretty funny, Legends of Meow Meow, as in tomorrow, but meow like a cat. What the hell? Anyway, obviously there will be spoilers in this review. If you've not watched the episode, go watch it and then come back to this later on. But obviously last episode, just to keep it simple, as we ended, Constantine broke time. He fractured reality. Stuff's gone a bit chaotic. But really when it comes down to it, it's not really a fracture in reality. It's more just timeline changes compared to a fracture in reality. But I don't know. I guess you could make them out as the same thing, but to me they're different. Anyway, to start off, we'll just talk about Charlie and Zari the cat. I did like the relationship between them two. I wonder what Maisie Richardson Sellers preferred, acting with the cat or acting with Tyler Arsh, who plays Zari. I don't know. I wouldn't mind working with both, but the cat was very cute. I think it had like red eyes, almost to emulate Zari's amulet. So yeah, Zari the cat was pretty cool. But we do head in different areas this episode. It's all over the joint, but it's all over the joint in a good sense. It's very fast paced. It didn't feel like it was dragging on at any point. Very enjoyable episode. But we do head to Los Angeles in 1960. Oh, not Los Angeles, Las Vegas, might I say, in 1962. And I was like, why are we here? I wasn't expecting this. And we meet Marilyn Monroe, but it's actually Charlie shapeshifted into Marilyn Monroe. She hangs out with the leprechaun for a bit. Yeah, the leprechaun was just, the luck of the Irish, I guess, and doing some gambling. And then in walks Nate, Mick, and Ray. And I was like, okay, what's happening here? There was a bit of a Rambo effect going on with Ray. And then they shoot the leprechaun. And all of a sudden, it's the custodians of the chronology. Basically, I'm pretty sure that's a play on the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm 99% sure. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for, even with the music and stuff like that. But that intro that they did was pretty funny. Essentially, they're monster hunters. And there's we'll go over necessarily what they're doing in a second, but was Nate meant to be playing off almost like a Sam or Dean from Supernatural? That's the feeling I got. And even when he walked past those two girls, he walked up to them, so it's almost more like a Dean. Is it a Dean? Dean is the one that Jensen Ackles plays, so it's more like a Dean character, but that's what I was feeling from his character at least. Now obviously this week with the other shows of Arrow, Flash and Supergirl, we have the Elseworlds crossover. Unfortunately, Legends as a whole doesn't play into that crossover, but they do have a reference where there's missed calls from Barry Allen, Oliver Queen, and Kara Zor-El, and they're like, oh, it must be crossover weekends, and then Nate's just nah, skip it, just ignore them. So I thought that was pretty funny that they actually acknowledged that it was crossover week and they're not going to play a part in it. But Legends is having a crossover with itself, so that's pretty cool. But we do find out that the timeline has completely changed. Zari has, become a cat because back in episode 2, I think it was, with the fairy godmother actually turned Zari into a cat, and she's just remained like that. And then we find out that the custodians of the chronology, which is actually quite difficult to say, they're a thing, and they become a sort of a shoot-on-sight team due to an incident in Woodstock, which we find out is where Sarah Lance died. So Sarah Lance is dead in that initial timeline that we're in. So there's actually a lot of crazy stuff going on that I wasn't really expecting in this episode. This episode sort of surprised me with how sort of crazy it got. But we do see Constantine in confinement. Now, he's essentially going crazy because Constantine has memories of both timelines. This timeline he's currently in, as well as the one that we've been used to for the rest, or previous to this episode. It's similar to Barry and Flashpoint. A lot of the stuff with Constantine in this episode is very reminiscent of Flashpoint and basically even Barry Allen's issues in his past. So basically this was legit Flashpoint 2.0. Everyone's been calling the Nora Allen story and Flashpoint 2.0 when it's literally not even close to it. This is actually a Flashpoint 2.0. So it was actually pretty damn cool that they gave Constantine this type of storyline. But Constantine isn't the only one to remember the past timeline. What he also remembers... But Constantine isn't the only one to remember what had happened previous in the season. It's important to remember where Zari and Charlie were when Constantine changed reality and changed the timeline. They were in the time stream. They were outside of time, so they weren't affected by everything else. The only thing they're affected by is everything that came before. So, when Zara was turned into a cat, she remained a cat when, everything changed and we came back, and that's, Charlie was sort of surprised by it, but, Zari knew all about it. We do see emo Ava Sharp, and obviously that's due to Sarah Lance's, death and stuff like that. But then that follows into a massive battle in the Time Bureau where the custodians all die, just randomly. I was like, okay, they're all dead now, so RIP the custodians of the chronology, I guess. But then time is changed again, and we get the Sirens of Space Time, which are basically like a Charlie's Angel sort of parody with Hank Haywood, or Nate's dad, being their Charlie, I guess. They're sort of like, what's the guy's name that they talk to in real life? Because Charlie's through the speaker. Who's the guy they talk to in real life? Whatever his name is. I think Bill Murray played him in the movies. So it's all like Hank was like an amalgamation of the two, because they talked to him as if he was Charlie, but then he was there in real life. Anyway, so Hank played that role. But that's Ava, Sarah, and Gideon, and they're there because Mick, Nate, and Ray have all died protecting the timeline elsewhere. I don't think they necessarily explained it. I'm not too sure. But essentially, we go back to Salem. So there's a lot of reshoots from, like, well, not reshoots, but revisiting with new shots. So they, did all this new stuff for this episode, which was really cool. I actually like it when Legends does that, because it has so much time travel. It's cool when they actually go back to times we've already been to, but film new stuff. So that was actually really cool. So yeah, we go back to Salem to stop the fairy godmother. That happens. However, then we come back. Zari's a puppet, and everyone else is a puppet on the Wave Rider, or at least Ray, Nate, and Sarah are puppets, and they call themselves the Puppets of Tomorrow. And we get a dance number. All the songs, or those 2 songs, I think, they were funny. Like, this is just ridiculous. But they became puppets due to Mick sort of tying with the fairy godmother, because it looks like he's going to kill the fairy godmother early on. But that doesn't happen. So the fairy godmother essentially becomes the new Captain Cold. This episode was ridiculous, but in such a good way. When I'm reading this stuff out, like my notes, I'm like, hold on, wait, that actually happened? It's just sort of ridiculous what happened. But then we get into some more serious stuff where John is actually sort of like essentially dying, like his brain is sort of just getting twisted out due to all the timeline changes, because he's remembering everything. It's just basically looping and looping and getting constantly like open and resealed. It's sort of just messing with him completely. So this just ends up with John having to go back to New Orleans, and essentially that location of New Orleans and that house of Des and John is essentially become like the new version of the Allen household on the night that Nora Allen was murdered by Reverse Flash. Like, we have all that memes where there's like multiple Flashes showing up at that household to stop either the Reverse Flash or stop a Flash from stopping a Flash from stopping a Reverse Flash and all of that. That's the new location. Stuff the Allen household. The Constantine house in New Orleans is the new sort of meme location. But to cut it all short, we flash some memories away from Des, and John and Des actually share a kiss, which actually sort of reignites the old timeline, and everything essentially goes back to normal. So I guess that's more simple than you letting Reverse Flash go back and kill your mother again. So actually, sorry Barry Allen for trying to compare them. I guess John's thing wasn't as bad. I don't know. Okay, maybe you get the we'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time, Barry, but they're pretty close. They're pretty similar. Maybe had a bit of a harder time, but they're pretty close. But speaking of Des, we actually have the cliffhanger for this episode, and the cliffhanger for the mid-season and for months, and we'll talk about that in a second, why it's months. The cliffhanger is that Hank's playing golf. Cool. He's a government person. He probably has a lot of free time. Let's go play some golf to, wind down. But he's playing with Des, but this isn't Des. This is Neron. This is Neron, or Neron, however you want to pronounce his name. Obviously, the person that's sort of like messing with John. Everyone, I think, sort of predicted that this was going to happen, that Neron was going to take over Dez's body, and that was going to be the whole thing, because it had already been stated before that that's basically essentially what happened. I guess it matters how long they're going to play with this without John knowing, or if John will find out very soon. And I guess that's the most interesting thing to find out. However, the big issue around this, and I don't know if it goes into effect immediately, but I'm pretty sure it does. So this is the mid-season. There's a break after this for all the shows. Flash has its Supergirl's on tomorrow, or today actually, from when you're watching this video, which is the last part of the crossover. All the shows are on break after that until mid-January, I'm pretty sure. However, I'm 99% sure that Legends doesn't come back till April. I know they take a break and don't come back until April, but I don't know if it's from this point now. If it is, that means we have essentially 5 months of no Legends of Tomorrow, which is pretty crazy. So it's unfortunate. However, if maybe they have to redo some stuff maybe for the end of the season, maybe they want to change some stuff up, and maybe that's why they took this later, time slot to air all the episodes, because Legends only has, I think, 8 more. I'm pretty sure they have 16 this season, so they are exactly halfway through their season. So yeah, they're gone to April. It's a bit disappointing. So it's a long wait. It's like 3 months longer than the other shows, when they come back. So it's a bit disappointing, but what can you do? That's just TV sometimes. But overall, I think this was my favorite episode of the season. It was just so wacky and entertaining. That's exactly what I want from Legends. I just want insanity on my screen, just comedy, while also being, heartfelt at times as well. And I think they delivered. I think the cliffhanger was good. I think it's a cliffhanger we were expecting, but it was still good. And what's that, like, phobia of holes and stuff that people have? That, the face that he does at the end there, not a good one. I think people will be having a lot of nightmares from that. But yeah, overall I thought this was a very cool episode. A lot of the timeline changes. I like, time traveling and all that. That's why Legends is one of my favorite shows. And I think they did. I think they did the episode pretty well. People might disagree with me, but I thought they did a really good job here, and I can't wait for it to come back in April, most likely. But I'll be sitting with my popcorn and I'll be waiting. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below. Did you like this episode? Did you not like it? Let me know all of your thoughts and your favorite parts in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.